Like a pair of glasses were gonna fool anyone.
Come with me if you want to live.
I know. That was actually gonna be my opening line. Not gonna lie, again, Scott, synced, but when I saw you tweet that, I was like, gotta come up with a different line.
Oh, the other one I had before I did that, when I was thinking about the episode before I actually watched it, and I realized, well, this really is like Terminator.
It totally is.
Totally is. Especially, I'm sure what the clip we're gonna watch, I'm gonna be like, look at that, look at that. But I also was ready to go. All hail the new kids in town.
Yeah. There's also that too. Yeah.
Which isn't even the real lyrics, but that's
No,
what in my head I was hearing.
it was
You know,
something like that. It was close enough. Close enough.
it's all hail the new king in town. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the.
but new kids in town, it helps. You're
It helps.
good with the words a little bit. It works. Anyways, welcome guys to DC Fan-imated. I'm of course Dave the Film Junkie. With me as always, Scott McClellan. How's it going?
It's going okay. I'm ready, Dave. We are ready to kick off. November is the month of Superman the Animated Series.
That's right. You mentioned that last week.
We have 4 weeks in a row of Superman episodes.
Episodes, and I mean, with our first one, we're not going back to Metropolis. We are going back to Smallville.
But we also have to go back in time. Yeah, I love this. I love this because actually at work, in the music that plays, over the speakers at work, there's at least 2 Huey Lewis and the News songs that are in rotation,
Nice.
and they don't play. I must just not work at the times when it plays because we get Power of Love, and I don't hear it as much anymore. But we used to get Hip to Be Square, but now I just want Back in Time to start playing because
both songs great. You want me to kind of blow your mind a little bit?
Blow my mind.
Because we're already on a tangent of Huey Lewis
and
Back to the Future. Because I saw this video recently and I was like, oh, interesting. So the first Back to the Future, when Marty is auditioning, we know who tells him no, right? The actor who tells him no.
Well, because it's
somebody. Yeah, he's got a bullhorn and he says, "You're just too damn loud."
Yes.
You know who that is? It's Huey Lewis.
Fuck me, no. I had no idea.
Okay, so I'm blowing your mind twice.
Yes, okay.
So it's not even like the initial blowing of your mind.
Well, you've already blown my mind.
Yeah,
so
yes.
like
rewatch it again when he's playing, and he's playing the Huey Lewis and the News kind of song. It's like he's doing it, and then it's just kind of funny because it's Huey Lewis, who's one of the teachers with glasses and a suit, who just with a bullhorn goes, "You guys are just too darn loud."
Yes.
So I'm watching this video and they're going, here's a theory. Basically, in the normal timeline that Marty is in, he actually wrote this song. This is an original Marty song, even though we know it's a Huey Lewis song. But in the timeline, Huey Lewis is, one of the teachers. But and so when he says that, and it's like it's too darn loud and blah, 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 that Huey Lewis in this timeline became a teacher who just doesn't like rock and roll music. But when Marty goes back and basically introduces rock and roll, playing, of course, Johnny Be Good and stuff like that, it changed something where Huey Lewis in his original timeline decided to go into rock and roll. And so that's why at the end of Back to the Future,
so what you're saying is he helps create Chuck Berry and Huey Lewis.
Because when the end of the movie, when Marty wakes up, what song wakes him up? Take me away, I don't mind. Hear that on his radio. So it's like, that's the theory, is that Huey Lewis exists in Back to the Future timeline, but he's a disgruntled teacher. And then when Marty goes back, he not only creates Chuck Berry, he creates Huey Lewis in the News.
Okay. I think that's BS, but I think it's so much fun BS. And I'm like, I'm really
one of those where I was like, oh, okay, I see where you're going with there.
I just love the idea that you connected with him also in basically inventing Chuck Berry, because I still love that scene. It was like, Chuck, it's your cousin Marvin Berry. He doesn't do sound you're looking for. Take a listen to this. And yes, I can quote Back to the Future.
Oh my god. One of the best movies ever. I mean, come on, you just can't. Anyways, but yeah, little tangent right there. It's just because I just watched that. It
Oh
was
my god, that was
like,
good. Thank you, sir. Thank
yes,
you.
but the fact that you didn't know that was Huey Lewis as that teacher that says you're too darn loud. It's
Well, that's the thing. It's like I own it on DVD.
yeah.
I own it on Blu-ray 4K. I do all that, but I've never like listened to commentary or anything. And to be honest, Huey Lewis is one of those musicians that's like, I know the music. Like,
Mhm.
play me a
You don't know what
Huey.
he looks like,
I never
really.
know what he looks like. Like,
Okay, yeah,
play me a Huey Lewis song, and I'll go, oh, that's Huey Lewis in the News.
yeah,
But
distinctive voice.
distinctive voice, distinctive musical style, but I've not like paid attention to like
What he looks, yeah,
what he
yeah,
looks like. So
yeah.
that's
Look it up
awesome.
after this. Yeah, look it up, and you'll see. Yeah, he is the teacher. That is Huey Lewis
That is
in there, which is awesome.
fantastic. Thank you, sir. Thank
Yes,
you.
you are welcome. You are welcome. So, but we start off this episode in 2929 AD.
Was it? I thought it was 2979.
Maybe it was. I
I
don't
think
know.
it
I
was
probably wrote it down
2979.
wrong.
Um, I an interesting episode in that this was my introduction to the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, me too. I had no idea who.
I had no idea who the Legion was. The Legion was really big. I mean, a little history for you.
Yes.
The Legion goes back to the Silver Age, to like the 50s, first appearing in Superboy, because there was, you've got the Golden Age original creation of Superman, where Kal-El lands, and as it gets put in an orphanage,
Mhm.
not raised by Jonathan and Martha. Like
Yeah.
that's not part of the original uh, origin story as far as the Golden Age is concerned. Now, the Silver Age is when you get the Jonathan and Martha discovering the rocket ship, in crash landing. Uh, and then there was a period of time, and Jerry Siegel was writing these comics, where they had the concept of Superboy, which was even while he was in Smallville, he had the Superman costume and he was doing super heroics, but as a boy in Smallville. And it's in that series that the Legion of Superheroes was was created. Now, it became popular in the 80s when Paul Levitz, who eventually became editor in chief and then later president of DC Comics, he was writing the Legion of Superheroes in the 80s, and that's when you get great storylines like the Great Darkness Saga, which also brought back Darkseid after Kirby finished up his Fourth World Saga. And it was there and competing with like Chris Claremont's X-Men, in sales. So the Legion has kind of gone through, had their sort of ups and downs of popularity. And there's so many of them. Like it's a general. I mean, Tim, my DC Squadcast brother loves. If you guys listen to the podcast of all the years we were doing it, he loves the Legion of Superheroes. I've
Nice.
never met such a Legion fanboy as Tim. But
Yeah.
yeah, for me, this episode was my first even like introduction to the idea of the Legion of Superheroes. And I've been meaning to go. I started it, but I've meaning to watch Alan Burnett after kind of in a gap period in the animated universe. There's a 2-season Legion TV show that actually is kind of entertaining, but like really gives you a chance to introduce to all the different Legionnaires. If there's that one scene in the episode where
You
they're
see
telling
all.
you
Yeah.
see all of them, and it's kind of like a blink and you miss it. But also, if you're a Legion fan, you're all going, "Oh, there's Lightning Lad, there's Bouncing Boy." There's you can kind of like do the and you start naming off all the Legionnaires that are pictured.
Yeah.
So I like this episode in that, like so much with the DC animated universe, it was my introduction to another element of DC. And
Yeah.
so
No, I'm
that's what
with
this
you on
episode
that.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, and because I had no idea who this group was, and even rewatching it, and like you said, that shot that we will talk about at the end, where you do, yeah, I mean, there, you kind of go, oh, okay, I see some people in there that I've seen before, but I mean, this one, yeah, this is a straight up Terminator type of episode because you got this future world that looks
It's Earth.
it's Earth. It's Earth, and it looks like it's hey, everything's looking pretty good. But hey, guess what? Brainiac is still a thing, and he's roaming around.
This
And
animated series gives so much love to Brainiac.
yeah, it
Like
does.
I was because literally, the last Superman episode we watched was Nighttime, which had Brainiac as the back. I mean, this is two Brainiac episodes back to back.
True.
Like there is so much. I mean, it's almost like how in the movies they can never get away from Zod in the movies.
Hmm.
It's like in the animated series. It's like, oh no, we're just gonna keep bringing we're just gonna keep bringing Brainiac back. Like
I
because
know,
like
which is kind of funny because you never get Zod in the animated. Well,
no, you never do get Zod
we
in
got
the
a
animated
version of Zod, which they did,
with
but
Jack Sir. You know,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then we haven't. We're like anxiously awaiting Brainiac in the movies. We had him in TV shows, sure, but not. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. But eventually, hopefully, we'll get Brainiac in the
Yeah,
movies.
and like because and then in the TV shows we've literally had uh at least uh two. You can maybe count three versions of Brainiac in live action television.
Hmm. Yeah,
Whether you want to count
Darwin.
Brainy from Supergirl, that's kind of a
Is that the dude with the kind of long hair, right?
yes, because Supergirl, the TV show, for all the problems I have with it, it brought in the Legion.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you see that version in that shot. You actually,
Yes, you see
yeah.
Brainiac 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. You actually see that I was like, oh, when I was rewatching, I was like, oh, that's because I haven't watched all full on Supergirl and stuff like that, but I saw the images, and I know a lot of people were complaining, like, what the hell is that? But it was just like, well, if you actually were to, look, you'll find that, yeah, it's not full on. Anyways, how people are. They complain about everything.
They complain
But
about everything. Yes, exactly.
we got Brainiac just like doing his thing, and then he's breaking into some kind of facility that is harboring something that is like, well, it's something that makes you travel in time.
I know. It was interesting because traditionally in Legion continuity, they do have time travel devices. They're called the time bubbles. And you can see that in it's funny. Well, actually, I'm kind of like in years because folks, it's gonna take us years to finish the animated universe. It's just it's taken us 3 years just to get to the last seasons of Batman and
Oh yeah.
Superman. But we're gonna come back to the Legion. We will revisit the Legion later on, and we'll see the time bubbles. And then, of course, also if you watched the 4th season of Young Justice, you got to see the time bubbles as well. So it was interesting that they did time travel in this episode without utilizing probably the most distinctive version of time travel in Legion canon. But I guess it's because they had needed to make it harder.
Yeah.
Like there has to be that danger of when Chameleon Boy, Cosmic Boy, and Saturn Girl go back in time, they have to have that like that really dramatic moment of I don't know if I can get you back.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
It was for dramatic. It was for dramatic effect. I mean, obviously, Brainiac, taking out people and then going through that, and then they're like, all right, we got to go, and because stakes are there, and then of course it's just like one of those like, wow, these are heroes because they don't care if they don't come back. It's always that thing, and then yeah, so it adds to the dramatics to the
Hey,
story.
Kyle Reese wasn't going to come back, so
exactly. So then of course when we see them go back, and then they do that whole reveal of, and this is also kind of like a trope that you see in something like this, where it's like they walk up to like a a billboard, and then it says like Smallville 5 miles that way. It's like you always had to do that thing where you show like a sign or a billboard
or a newspaper. Like
yeah,
it's the classic. Like I've traveled back in time. I have to find a newspaper. Of course, now if you try to do a time travel, you just be fucked because where are you going to find a newspaper these days?
exactly. See, yeah, that's for creative people to figure out. And when it comes to time, it's been a while since there's been like a good time travel movie or something that's been.
I don't care what people say. I love Looper.
Looper's fan-fucking-tastic. I watched that like 2 months ago. Again, I love that movie.
I love that movie.
So
I have 2 Rian Johnson movies that I am passionately excited about, and it's Looper and Brick.
nice.
I love those movies, and considering that it's Noirvember, I'm gonna be doing a rewatch of Brick.
Yes.
Yeah, because they just released it in 4K. So I'm like, dude, I'm on it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, yes,
Yeah, he's
so
in
good.
both.
He is in both. He's one of those actors. So
he's one of those guys.
yeah,
but
you're right. Except for Looper, like there hasn't been a good there's been series, but there hasn't been like a really good time travel movie.
Been a bit. Yeah, somebody needs to get on that. And again, no Back to the Future reboot, sequel, anything like that. Robert Zemeckis still squashes that.
Good. Thank you, Robert.
Yes.
Thank you.
In a recent interview, I mean, he says like it's funny because he was asked, he's like, "Oh yeah, every 6 months they ask me about it." He was joking, of course, but he goes, "It's a common thing of him and Bob Gale, always getting asked about it, and they always go, no."
You know what you can do if you want your sequel? If you want your sequel, go to IDW Comics. Bob Gale wrote an ongoing monthly series of Back to the Future. Go read a damn comic book.
There you go. Read a damn comic book. He didn't bring up that, but he brought up the Broadway show,
which the musical. Right, I have the cast album. I know that shocks no one. Nobody. And it's funny because it's actually one of those cast albums because I have the original cast album. So that was like the one that when they did it because it started in London.
Yeah.
The original songs are really entertaining. I just hate it when they try to do like the songs you actually hear in the movie. Like I don't need to hear Broadway singer versions of Huey Lewis in the News or Johnny B.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. Yeah,
no. There's just a certain thing of like I used to listen to. I mean, I have so many Broadway cast albums because I was a musical theater major.
Of course,
so there's just something when you get Broadway style singers singing like pop songs or rock songs. It's like
work.
It doesn't. It really doesn't work a lot of the time. And so that's the thing. It's like, oh no, give me the show tune that you wrote for the show. That's great. I don't need to hear this guy singing Johnny Be Good.
Yeah. So yeah, he brought up that he thought that was cool. And then I remember when I was even talking about it, like, I watched they had a Saturday morning cartoon for
That's why I still have my DVD box set because the DVD box set has the complete animated series as like as a bonus feature inside the box set. So that's the only reason I held on to. I don't hold on to multiple formats of the same thing. Like if I upgrade to a 4K, I get rid of, whatever I upgraded from. Unless there's something special like, the fact of the original that's the only way you can get the Back to the Future animated cartoon. I loved watching that because it was like you got the cartoon and then you got like the Bill Nye Beekman's World segment with Christopher Lloyd doing an experiment based on something from the episode.
Oh yeah, it was such a great series, and it was a nice little continuation because it was a continuation. I mean, of course, they had to bring the DeLorean back, but it was like it was Doc Brown. He was married. He had the kids,
Jules and Vern.
Yes, and Marty was still helping him out, and Einstein, his dog, was a part of it. I remember collecting the toys.
The Happy Meal toy.
Wait, was it McDonald's? I wasn't sure.
It was McDonald's, yes. Because I had the DeLorean and I had Marty on the hoverboard.
On the hoverboard, yes. Yes, I had both of those too. So yeah. Oh yeah.
Because they also had the train.
They had the train. I forgot what there's always 4.
There was
Though
always 4.
forgot what the 4th one was. We'd probably have to look that up. But yeah, there was the train. It was Doc sticking his head out in the DeLorean, and then it was Marty on the hoverboard and had like a bunch of like a cloud underneath him. It was pretty cool.
And it was one of those pullback toys, and then like it would like
it would go.
It would spark too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, toys back then when we do that, it would spark. Oh yeah, we had dangerous toys. Anyway, so we have of course the Legion showing up in Smallville, and we got a farmer who is just like, doing that thing with his dog, and he's like, get off my property kind of thing.
That's kind of Back to the Future, because I'm thinking about like that farmer with the pines.
Old man Peabody.
Old man Peabody,
yes. That's what Doc said. He was like, old man, and he would just be like, he had an obsession with reading pine trees. And then of course they have that whole thing where Marty ends up running over him. So then the Twin Pines Mall turns into the Lone Pine Mall.
Yes.
Oh man, God, that movie's just so well written. Good. It's so good. But so it's got that aspect to it, and then of course they utilize their powers to be like, hey, we're good. First off, we got Saturn Girl that just knows that he gets a bunch of young people.
She's psychic. Yeah, that's psychic. Her. Yeah,
her thing is whole mind thing, and then of course I think Cosmic
Boy has like
he could just shoot things and levitate things, move things. Then of course Chameleon Boy is just he just turns it. He's almost like Beast Boy in a way.
Yes,
in effect,
yeah. By the way, if you ever go back and you watch season 4 of Young Justice, because Chameleon Boy is an alien species called the Durlans, and
remember that.
Because Young Justice was really cool with Greg Weisman and team. They kind of do their own spin on the DC universe. And so they actually by the end of season 4, they give a really cool origin story for the Durlans that connects, because then when you saw Chameleon Boy in that season, it was this cool little full circle moment at the end of season 4. So it was what? It was cool. It was really that was one of those. It was another one of those where I went, oh, I see what you did there.
I see what you did.
That's cool. That's cool.
Sorry, I didn't mean to, when I said what, I just looked at the chat. Voice of Jimmy and Superman, the animated series, was the voice of Marty in Back to the Future.
Oh my God.
What? Wow. Thank you, Critic Chris.
Hey, thank you for making our tangent actually relevant.
Worth a while. Wow. Ow. Look at that. There you go.
That's fabulous.
I'm remembering, if you think about it, I mean, he does have a Marty kind of voice. Wow. Look at that. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to look up clips later tonight.
Back absolutely.
So they got the farmer, they get him neutralized, and obviously, they get rid of his gun, and then they do all that. And then of course they do that thing where they make him forget kind of thing. So it's like, oh yeah, we know where this is going to end up heading.
Right. Exactly. Because we can't have
foreshadowing. Yeah.
We have foreshadowing because we can't have anything that happens in this episode, be remembered by anybody.
Exactly. And then of course we get to the high school, and there's a dance happening in the gymnasium.
And Clark's got game.
Clark's got game. Well, he's a good-looking dude. I mean, he's athletic. He's tall, strapping young man. And Lana hates it that he attracts airheads apparently. And she is grilling him because he's like, "Hey, I told you to get punched, and now you're talking to 3 different girls. What are we doing here?" And it's like, come on, Clark. Yeah. I mean, I get it. He of course he likes that, but then of course he doesn't just attract the airheads. He tracks the jocks, and of course,
which he is a jock because they call him all state. This is a version of Clark that didn't hide his powers. He actually he used them, which is fun because that kind of reminds me of there was a season of Smallville where Clark actually joins the football team.
Yeah.
And it becomes like a whole thing. But it's like he doesn't do the whole like Superman 78. You were here for a reason. I know it wasn't to throw footballs. I'm like, no, this is a Clark that actually did like play sports, you know.
Yeah.
And Jonathan and Martha didn't stop him from doing it. Like, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you got, of course, this dude named Kenny, who's freckle-faced, red-headed dude.
Which is, do you recognize the voice?
No, I didn't.
It's Scott Minville. We've talked about him before because he was, remember the Supergirl, when we did Little Girl Lost Part 1 and Part 2?
Yes.
He was one of the inner gang.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah,
he was that
inner
one guy,
gang, working with Granny Goodness. And as I would like to point out, go to Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. That's the voice of Robin.
Oh, well, there you go. Makes sense. But of course, he's like, hey, like I'll challenge you. Does that whole thing? Let's do it now. We're in a gymnasium. Let's play some basketball. But of course, they do that thing where Clark is literally using his powers. And no one cares. It's like he's moving, woof, woof, woof. And then he even like holds the ball for Kenny to pull, and he can't. It's like trying to move a stone. Like he's just he can't do. So Clark is literally using his powers. Nobody's batting an eye. It's like,
it goes back to that theory that everyone in Smallville knows.
Yeah, I know. It's like one of those. Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of like in Amazing Spider-Man when, there's been times where like Andrew Garfield's version, like he did do some stuff. Like, did anybody even notice that? Like when he challenged Flash Thompson to a basketball game, he literally jumps from almost like from the free throw line and slam dunks. It's like, hello, people. Like, did you see that? That's what I love about Man of Steel is like when Clark as a kid had to, save the bus, people were like, Martha and Jonathan, your son fucking did this. And it's like, yeah. So that's what I love. It's like they emphasize.
But then there's the idea that as they all grow up, they all just kind of go, we got you.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what was so great about Man of Steel.
But I also love that idea is that because it's Smallville.
Yeah.
Of course they'd keep their mouths shut.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that. They would just be like, yeah, we saw some shit, but who's going to, they might even go like, who's going to fucking believe this, So, But yeah, so he does that. And then of course, wins the challenge, but Kenny gets hurt.
He throws him across the gymnasium. I mean,
Kenny does not have a good he does not have a good time in this episode. That's for sure.
Well, he's a shitbag. So you know what?
So
he had it coming. I don't care.
He did have it coming. And, so he gets hurt. And then, of course, Lana doesn't like it. She's the voice of reason. Like, what the hell? How dare you do that? And
this is clearly prior to the events that we see in Last Son of Krypton Part 2 when he reveals his powers to Lana.
Yes.
So timeline, she doesn't know yet. So clearly, timeline-wise, we're just before, because we have that time jump from the rocket ship landing, at the beginning of Last Son of Krypton Part 2, and then he's a teenager, and we kind of I remember us complaining about the suddenness of that time jump in that episode. And
That's
so
right.
This clearly fits in like in between there.
Mm-hmm. And then of course Brainiac shows up, starts attacking Clark, and Clark's like, what the fuck? It's just, can you imagine like, again, this is a Terminator type of story. So the fact that it's like some big, alien robot that's flying around on some, floating
chair.
Yeah. Essentially, it's just like, zapping you and doing all this shit. It's like, yeah, that's going to freaking like wake you up a little bit. And then all of a sudden you get these three young lads that show up to help you out. And
two lads and one lady.
There you go. Two lads and one lady. And there's like, you're in the junkyard and they're doing like, we got a whole big action sequence, which is a cool action sequence. We see their powers, we see what's happening, and they're giving a good fight to Brainiac. They're doing their job.
Hey, Brainiac runs at the end.
He does.
Because he does that whole spatial transference. I did
Yeah.
pay attention to, the techno babble.
Essentially, Brainiac has a device because it's Brainiac. So
He can teleport,
whatever,
basically.
yeah, whatever like was helped him travel back through time, he's now utilizing that to get away from things, move around within the time that he's at. I guess you could say, like he's not like he's traveling through time. He's just like you said, teleporting
He's
essentially.
traveling through space, not
Yeah,
through time.
there you go. That makes sense.
Of course it
Uh,
does. I said it. I mean,
yes,
come on.
of course.
Stay,
Yeah.
stay, stay with me, Dave. Stay
Yes,
with me.
I got you. I got
Okay,
you.
okay, okay.
I got you. And then of course I love how Brainiac just like calls him Kal-El, and he's like, what? That's not
What?
me. So yeah, this is well, obviously, yeah, like you said, it fits in that little right before then. So he doesn't even know who he is yet. Uh, so then of course, then we get them talking to Clark and basically explaining, a lot of things of first off, they're like, hey, you need a disguise, and that's where they give him glasses. And we get two jokes right here when it comes to Superman. First off, like what I said at the beginning, is like, like anyone's gonna,
Be
be
fooled by a
fooled by
pair of
pair of
glasses.
glasses. And then you got Chameleon Kid or
Million
boy.
boy. Sorry.
He like when Saturn Girl is basically saying like, okay, so you are Superman. We come from a future world, and you are part of the reason why that world is so great, and blah blah blah. And then of course, Chameleon Boy just turns into Superman, and he immediately goes, "Red undies? Are you serious?" Like red underpants?
Yes.
Like it was just like, so it's like that's what I think is my favorite part of the episode, is the fact that it's like, yeah, you're gonna take those topics of would anybody be fooled by glasses and
The
the
red
red
trunks.
undies, yeah, which is still to this day talked about, which is what's so funny.
But what I love about this series is that
Yeah,
they make the red trunks work so well,
yeah,
and yet have the self-awareness to make fun of them at the same time.
exactly. And so, yeah, it's great. But yeah, we get a whole little history of all that, and there's like statues for Superman. He helped.
Oh,
Put
such a big deal in Legion
Mhm.
history, is the idea that the Legion of superheroes solely exists because of the inspiration of Superman. There are statues, there's a museum. I mean, he is like this vaunted figure that's always usually like a big Legion, like a Legion plot is always someone's trying to go back to do something to Superman, because if they can do something to Superman, the Legion will cease to exist.
Yep.
Because without Superman, there is no Legion. Now, of course, that's where the Supergirl TV show changed up things. And like the Supergirl TV show did a lot, which was let's take everything that was supposed to be about Superman and let's make it about Supergirl.
Which makes sense. I mean, hey, why not?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
hey,
but I know, but yeah, I get why
eh.
you're groaning about it. I get it. And then of course, after they're doing this, and then we get Brainiac sending out one of his little drones that is scanning the area. Chameleon Boy turns into a brick wall to cover him because they're in like a little alleyway. But when that happens, Clark is like, "I'm out. Fuck
Peace
this."
out. Which
And
once
they're
again,
just like, yeah.
you run away from the people who are trying to. What is this in time travel movies? Stop running away. I mean, Sarah Connor did it with Kyle Reese. John Connor does it in Terminator 2. It's like, y'all, stop running away from the people who are trying to protect you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trope. It's definitely a trope when that happens. But so and then of course he runs away, and then of course Brainiac shows up at a at a coffee shop, I guess you could say. It was like
That's a
kind of like
diner. It's a diner. It's a,
yeah, it says coffee shop on it, but it's a diner because you see, I mean, it looks like a diner. So and then of course who's in there? Kenny. Poor Kenny. And Brainiac just walks in there and is just like basically doing the T-1000 of have you seen this boy? Or like where, basically trying to get where
Where is
Clark.
Clark Kent?
Yes. I almost think that someone like Brainiac wouldn't even care and just start blasting all the different farm houses. But hey, it brings up another like, opportunity to put Kenny into his place.
I don't know
You
how
know?
Kenny survives that, by the way.
Yeah,
That
he gets literally chucked out of the restaurant, like out the window, lands, and yeah, he's not doing so, and to the point where he ends up just like on the sign of the whole place where
that's
he's
the one that I want to go. How the hell did you survive that? I'm
yeah,
just
yeah,
yeah, cartoon. You know,
cartoons,
yeah.
guys.
I do however love it when he's like, "Where is Clark Kent?"
Yeah.
I don't insufficient answer.
Yeah, he basically he talks like a computer as if it's Brainiac, for God's sakes. And then of course we get Clark coming home and just kind of freaking out. And then when he's home, Lana is there, and of course Martha and Jonathan. I love how they're like, "Hey, she wanted to talk to you." So he's just kind of like, and then of course one of those drones shows up. He
Okay,
sees it.
before then,
Oh,
I had a moment.
okay.
I had a moment in this episode, uh, when Martha's like, "Jonathan, isn't the Dukes of Hazzard on?" And that made me laugh because do you remember who played Jonathan on Smallville?
Oh yeah, he was on one of the he was
Yeah, Jo
yes, he was yes.
John Schneider, who was one of the
Right.
Dukes of Hazzard.
There's another connection right there. Yes.
I I chuckled so much at that because I was just like,
That's
and they
funny.
didn't even do that intentionally because this
No.
cartoon came out in 1998 and Smallville didn't premiere until 2001. But
Yeah.
I
But
loved it.
it's just that's a fun little connection right there. Wow. Didn't even think about it. Wow, that's cool. But yeah, she does say that and trying to give him space. And then of course, yeah, the drone's going around. And then now Clark is like, okay, so then they all, go down into the basement, hiding out. But then Clark's like, all right, well, I got to do something. And then of course, we talked about this the last time, Jonathan. Jonathan, let's face it. I mean, he's got balls.
Yes, he
Jonathan's
does.
got balls. He always wants to help, even though it's like, dude, you're gonna get killed if you help. And of
Yeah,
course, he wants
man, he
to
did that with
help.
Calabac on
Yes,
Father's Day. Yes,
yes.
yes.
That's. I mean, we talked about that, and he's just the same way. He wants to help out Clark. And when Brainiac does show up, we get a nice little
But I love
battle.
Martha going, "Jonathan, you're
Yeah.
gonna need more than a shovel."
And yeah, and then of course it's like, hey, yeah,
Comes out
and
with a double barrel shotgun.
shotgun, and then obviously when everything's like being when it comes to Clark and Brainiac battling, and then of course it's like they saved the day, but yeah, we're gonna start jumping into it right here because I mean that's where just it's we
This
got.
is another one of those, like, this is another action episode, so there's, like
There's a lot of action that happens, and we
yeah.
got Brainiac controlling, obviously the farm equipment, the tractors, and I forgot what is that vehicle that just kind of like has the in front of
It
it.
it's what, like, cuts the corn it's like cuts the
Yeah,
corn and stuff. I don't know what it's
yeah.
called. I'm not
I
a
don't know what it's
farmer.
called either. Yeah, I
I'm
know.
not be from
Well,
Alabama,
you live
but
in
I'm not a farmer.
Alabama. I thought you might have known something.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works,
I
you
know
know?
it's not how it works, but so here we go right here. Trapped. Brainiac is just grinning, and then bam! Shotgun to the back. I love the music and everything. And then bam! Martha with the
Martha!
shotgun. Yes.
Oh no, you don't.
I mean,
Ouch.
look at the kids. I mean,
Right? Pants are badass.
yeah, they are. Oh, hurt. That hurt.
Gotta rip off that shirt. And he's like, all right, I gotta do my Superman thing.
Of course, there was a part of me that looked at this and was like, you do realize that Jonathan and Martha now have to, like, buy new farm equipment.
Yeah, I know, right? I thought about that too. I'm like, yeah, he just destroyed both their, yeah. What? Walking out of the fire.
You want me
Looking like a
Brainiac?
badass.
Here I am.
I still love how it's the same voice actor who voiced young Clark in part 2.
Yep.
Last time he was on.
And then finally the Legion shows up.
I know,
We'll
right?
take it from here. This guy's mine. Not tonight.
Not tonight, buddy. And they're like, what the fuck?
I know. I love the kids.
And then he's noticeably
Oh, dude,
damaged.
look at the red eyes. Like,
Yes.
this is such like T-800 from the first Terminator vibe.
Yep. And just
Once
throwing
again,
anything.
And because it's Brainiac, and you know, it's the whole idea of robots. We can just fuck him off as much as we want.
Now they need a new barn.
Yeah. We need new equipment. We need a new barn.
You two gonna be okay?
Kal-El.
Guess the history tapes weren't so far off after all.
I also love it.
Clark, listen. You must get to the control on
I also
Brainiac's
love how like
cell.
Brainiac's
The only
face
way.
it's kind of like that Terminator thing.
Yeah.
We're like his, like
Yeah.
you like
Mixed it
you
up a
see
little
the you see the
Yeah.
jawline right there.
History will
Yeah.
show that I am the superior survivor
of Krypton.
You know how to adjust it.
Doesn't seem that hard.
Yeah, I know. You press the buttons in order. There we go.
And then I love it. The Kents are helping with that too.
No, I love this one. He rips off his arm and beats him with his own arm.
Yeah. And then just send him right to the sun.
And melt his face off. I remembered like the molten metal from the end of T2. Like that was the feeling I had.
And then the sun is
You're lucky you're
poor,
still in
poor
one piece,
Kenny.
son. That was the worst twister to hit town in 20 years.
Yeah, I don't care. Ow! Just get me down.
Get me down.
Now, granted, I love Saturn
they don't
Girls
remember
like
anything that
lame
happened last
excuse
night?
because
Nothing.
looking at the
I
way
blocked
the
everyone's
destruction
memories,
is,
then
like,
made them think the
I can
damage
believe that was
done
a
by
tornado.
storm.
Like,
Yeah.
it is
Just as
Kansas.
well. I don't know how I'd
True.
explain any of it. What happens now?
We're going to use the computer in Brainiac's hover chair to get us back to our
Well,
own
that's
time.
convenient.
And
Yes.
I won't be seeing
I
you
know
again.
Deus Ex
Don't
Machina.
look so sad.
He
Yeah,
left
why
his
not?
They miss
chair.
us.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? After all you've shown me?
Yep. Nope. Just like how you kissed Lois and
Superman 2. It's a theatrical cut.
Just when we were getting to be buds.
True.
It's not right for a person to know his own future.
His own destiny as Doc Brown.
Dark Brown.
Yes, he needs to find his own way.
Find his own way.
Up and away!
I like that.
I always wanted to say that.
I always wanted to say that. Which is you never actually hear that phrase in this animated
You
series.
never do, except for when people are kind of again, they're like kind of poking fun at things, and then hey,
Hey,
there's
Clark.
Donna.
Come on, we're gonna be late for class. Where'd you get those?
I'm not sure.
Ha
What do you think? Are they me?
You are so weird.
Yes, you are, Clark. And then especially, it's like there's no corrective lenses in those.
No, I also love how they just pulled the glasses out of nowhere.
I know. I was like, where do those glasses come from? You know,
I thought I saw Cosmic Boy take him out of a trash can. Not gonna lie, like
could have been
in that
something.
alley they were hiding in.
Yeah, could have been something like that. But I mean, that's always one of the things too. I'm like, with Clark Kent, it's like, I mean, anytime if there's fake lenses, I mean, you can kind of tell just by looking at them. Because if you look at mine, I mean, if you look at when you could actually see the visuals like start doing that whole thing.
The distortion because of the prescription.
Yeah, exactly. So when I watch movies, every time I watch movies, I can always tell. I'm like, yep, fake glasses. Those aren't real because you see it. It's anytime you see the angle where you could see through
the glasses. Yeah.
So you don't see like it distort. Yeah. So I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. So I'm like, somebody needs to address that. James Gunn, I'm talking to you. No, I don't know if he'll address that, but you never know because there are those little things. I mean, Matt Reeves, he addressed the fucking eye makeup finally.
Oh yeah, thank you for giving me. I never knew how much I needed Robert Pattinson to have raccoon eyes.
Dude. I mean, that's the thing. Is like ever since Batman '89, we've always been like, I mean, and then of course even Batman Returns did that fucking awful, you know.
We ripped off his mask and suddenly like, it's just it's clean face Michael Keaton.
The fact of the matter is, before he ripped it off, you see him without the eye makeup in. Before
yes, they edited it with a different shot so he could just rip the mask
why would
off.
you not? You should have edited it before he did that. I mean, at least like Zach didn't acknowledge it. Like when he gets back and they do that
the Texas switch
of Citroen getting out of the Batmobile, and then of course it's Affleck who
walking up the stairs to the back computer.
Yeah. So and then of course there's no eye makeup even when it comes to the nightmare sequence.
Well, he has perfect fucking hair, so you know what.
I know. I remember Kevin Smith like making fun of that. He's all, man, his hair is so perfect when it comes out of that. But I mean, it's just like there's just either you acknowledge it or you don't. And this is just me who has glasses going, hey, maybe acknowledge, maybe there's something where he does get some certain kinds of lenses. I don't know. It's just it's a detail that nobody cares about.
No, there's always those. It's okay. It's kind of like, and this is a preview. If you've not listened to our episode 6 discussion of the Penguin on DC TV Squadcast, I talked about a really weird. We all have those tropes that we hate, and I talk about a trope about underwear. Which is really funny because we talked about Supergirl's panties showing up in the in Girls' Night Out last week. And then I had a comment on the Penguin episode about underwear. And I remember I even DM'd you going, I had to take a moment to realize which underwear comment I was talking about.
Yeah, that's right. You did send me that. Yeah.
So I just, if you need it, go download our discussion on Gold Summit from the Penguin episode 6. And hear about my my weird hang up about underwear or the lack thereof in movies and television. I spend a little too much time talking about it, I'm afraid.
Nothing wrong with that. But so this is a great little episode. Nice, cool little episode of like
for me, it's a fun little episode.
It's a fun one because this doesn't do anything besides just hey, Brainiac does this, and then they introduce.
And here's the Legion of Superheroes.
Here's the Legion of Superheroes, and of course we see, a little group shot when you do the flashback thing. And like I said, the one thing I remembered was the Brainiac 5, right, or whatever his name.
Brainiac 5, yes.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what they based. But you see other ones in there too, like you said, like
Lightning Lad
and all them,
and Bouncing Boy, and there's more. Phantom Girl is in there. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. So it's just like one of those cool little episodes where they make fun of the glasses, they make fun of the undies. It's just one of those things where it's like, and then of course this potentially set up the fact that Clark, this is where he finds, hey, if I want to have a disguise, put some glasses on. So there you go. Fun little episode. What do we got next week though?
Okay, this is an episode that I have no memory of whatsoever. Like just telling you that a lot of times, with me, you give me an episode title and I'm like, I got you. I know this. This one, no. The episode is called Obsession.
Okay. Yeah, I have no idea too.
I got nothing.
I got nothing. Let's see. I'm gonna look at what the.
You gonna look at the thumbnail?
I'm gonna look at HBO Max's thumbnail right here. I'm pulling it up on my phone. Come on, go back. There we go.
Okay. Do I have to pull it up on my phone?
Well, I mean, okay. So this is funny because when you say obsession, I was like, okay, the villain's gonna be a woman, and sure enough, that's what the thumbnail. It's a blonde woman who is wearing a sexy type of dress. I have no idea. Smitten with Love, Toy. Oh, it says Toy Man.
Ooh, okay. So, well, but I don't remember this episode.
I don't either, but yeah. Okay, so there you go. But yeah, so we got a Blonde woman in a sexy white dress,
And apparently Toy Man.
Yes, and Toy Man's part of it. As I see just a little bit underneath of that little summary right there. I don't want to read all of it, but all right. So there you go. Obsession. I mean, and when you said that, it just sounds like, oh, is that a perfume?
I did intentionally say it like,
Exactly.
Obsession
You
by
sold it.
Calvin Klein.
Big time. Obsession. Yes. So there you go, guys. We'll be talking about that next week. Like I said, tonight's episode was a nice little fun episode. Little Back to the Future, little Terminator, introducing us to the Legion of Superheroes, and kind of, it's a cool little fun Smallville episode. Tim Daly got a night off.
He did. Like all the main cast got a night off. Really,
They all got a night off except for what's his name plays Brainiac, but
Corey Burton.
He's not always there, and we love it when you hear that voice for sure. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Scott, go ahead and plug away.
Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter at ScottDC27, on Instagram at McMerlin, and on Vero at Scott McClellan. You can listen to my co-host Ray and I talk weekly about the Penguin over at the DC TV Squadcast. I will go ahead and let y'all know, as a programming note, we have my work schedule screwed around with our normal recording schedule. We will not be able to record our review of episode 7, Top Hat, until this coming Friday. But I'm sure that Ray will make sure that it gets produced and published before the finale airs on Sunday night. So I just want to go ahead and apologize for the delay in that episode coming out, but it is coming. And then a reminder that next week, the day after, we will record our review of the finale of The Penguin. And then we're going to start doing our catch up on Superman and Lois. So you got all of that to look forward to. And that's what we got going on. So we got 2 more episodes of Penguin to talk about. And then we're going to start talking about Ray's going to catch up on season 3 of Superman and Lois. And we're going to catch up on the first half of season 4 of Superman and Lois.
There you go. Plenty of content out there, guys. And smash that like, thumbs up. We appreciate you. I'll see you guys on Friday for the vodka stream. Got plenty to talk about. And guys, we love you. And we'll see you next week for Obsession by Calvin Klein. All right, guys. We love you. Bye-bye.